So I woke up today and I kind of fell or rolled out of bed straight into meditation. Um, and I found myself being really distracted, which is something that's normal for people who meditate. If you meditate, it's really hard to silence and quiet the mind. So I am trying to get into the zone, trying to get into meditation, and I can't seem to get there. So I get up, I do my morning routine, and I respond to a friend of mine from college who had written me a post on Instagram, or written me a comment on one of my posts on Instagram. And it was the post that I wrote the day that I lost my job, or it was a couple of days after, but it was addressing me losing my job. And I went back and I reread the post. So a lot of times when I write, if any of you have ever read my writings, a lot of people, that's how they've come to follow me on social media, is through my blogging. So if you've never checked out my blogging and you are in the mood for some really introspective, deep, crazy stuff, I'll make sure to post a link. But so I went back and I read my blog, which I don't often do. I usually just write, publish, and move on. I went back and I read it, and it really kind of brought me to tears because it was talking about this knowing that I am a healer, and knowing that even though there was, I lost my job, and that was a hard blow to my ego. That was a hard blow in general. But still knowing that there's something better for me on the horizon, and that kind of sitting in the pocket of knowing, because you understand your purpose. You understand the impact that you stand to make on the world, the splash, right? I know I can make a big splash, and just I've been feeling so ready to step into that. I've been feeling so like life has primed me, or I'm poised to step into being who I've always dreamed of being. And then I think about, what holds me back from that, and it's always myself. And as I was reading the comment from my friend, it was, you talking about this made me feel less alone. And now, weeks later, I can say that I know, it was the best possible thing to happen to me, because now this other great thing is happening for me that is so much more well suited for me. And so it was that process of kind of like letting go to let come. Sorry, this is my clarity stone. I'm holding it today because I need some clarity, child. So it's like that process of letting go to let come. And so she was able to let go and let come. And I needed a reminder, because I felt the panic. I started to feel the panic of rent is going to come due, and your car is going to come, car note is going to come due, and car insurance is going to come due, and all of these things were coming. And what are you going to do? And I started to feel the weight. I started to feel the paralysis. I started to feel, quite honestly, the fear. And I realized how much I don't want to be motivated by fear anymore. So, sit back. It's story time. Okay, so decisions I've made out of fear. Jobs. Every job I've ever taken, like my full-time jobs, have been taken out of fear. I took a break. So I quite literally had a mental breakdown in November 2015. And my mother did not know what to do with me. And so she said, come home. I don't know how to help you other than to just say, come home. And I can relieve the stress of, you having to be alone and you having to struggle through it by yourself, and just you can be in your comfort zone of home. And so that's what I did. I just packed up and I left, and I left San Diego, and I left my apartment, I left my car, I just left. In that, right before I had left, or right before I had moved back, I had been applying to jobs like crazy because I had stepped away from a position and I was on full-time, or I was on disability. So I had been on disability from September 2015 to November when I eventually quit that position. And but still around October, I started to panic because I was like, I'm going to be graduating soon. I can't rely on loans. I need a job. And so I panicked, looked for a job, got a job. As a graduate coordinator at UCSD. I loved what I was doing. I loved the people that I worked with. But then that environment became toxic because of some of the faculty that I had to work with there. And they first offered me my salary. I think the first offer I got was like 48 or something like that. And I said no. And I said I need at least 50, I think. And so I got up to 50, and I told my boss while I was there, I was like, I really need to be making more than this. I'm going to earn a PhD soon. I think my skill level and what I can bring to the table is just much more than the salary reflects. And so we worked really hard, and I busted my ass. I worked overtime. Took on extra projects. And when I left there, I had gotten 2 raises. And so I was making, I think, 62. So to be there for like a year and to move up that quickly in terms of pay, it was very affirming because it let me know that even though I'd taken the job out of fear, and even though it wasn't the best environment at some points in it, I was learning how to advocate for myself. I was learning how to step into my own, which is really important because of everything else that was transitioning in my life. I was graduating. I was really kind of falling into a depression after graduation. And then, boom, my partner had a manic episode. Boom, my dad had a massive heart attack. I felt I felt helpless. There wasn't enough money in the world. There wasn't enough. I didn't know what to do. I was completely overwhelmed, and I told my mom that I was gonna move home to help with my dad and to just help with her. But in actuality, I think all of it coming, it completely overwhelmed me. I never wanted to make my partner feel like she was a burden. She was not. Um, I love her. I loved her. I love her. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It wasn't that. It was the culmination of all these things happening at one time with someone who was already in a very fragile mental state. So I was rebuilding myself, and then all of a sudden I felt like my legs got taken from under me. you know. And I move home and I tell myself I'm helping my mom. I'm not really doing much. And so I can feel the tension between my mom and I start to rise because we are two grown, strong women. And I was used to having my own space, and that was her home. And I did not respect it as I did when I was a teenager, living in her home. I felt like, of course, I have to listen. And now I'm like, I'm grown, what. And so I wasn't always the most respectful of my mom's rules and things like that. It's hard. It is really hard to be an adult at home with your mother, with your parents. And so anyway, my dad recovered from his heart attack. I found a job and I took it. I took it even though it was a $22,000 pay cut. They offered me $40,000 and told me they could not budge on that. I told them for the right fit, I would be okay. Because I had just come from I was in a fragile mental state, like I said. And I was even more fragile at that moment. And so I needed something that was going to really fit me. As it turns out, that position was a horrible fit. And I almost, in hindsight, feel like the money was the first indication that it was going to be a bad fit, because there's nothing about me that says frugal. If you know me, I just don't live a very frugal life. I own my privilege in that way. I've never grown up without. I haven't. I have lived a very blessed life in that my parents worked really hard to provide everything to my sisters and I. And yeah, we're spoiled, and yeah, we are very blessed, and yes, we were afforded a lot of things that a lot of people don't. And I don't just mean material things. I mean experiences. I mean conversations. I mean exposure to things like the world. My parents were just exceptional parents, and so when you find yourself unemployed at 34 and you've had 3 now really bad experiences with higher education, right? Like back to back to back. And I say this, I can't put myself through this anymore. I know in my heart that I'm supposed to be healing and helping. I know in my heart that I'm really good at brand management. I'm really good at connecting. I'm really good at building something from nothing. I'm really good at creation. I'm exceptional at artistic concepts and expression and creation. I'm a visionary. I am. I know that about myself. I own that about myself. I love that about myself. And I'm constantly limited to what other people want me to be because I'm looking for positions, right? You look for a position that you can find and fit enough of what you want because you want the stability of a 9 to 5 or the stability of a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week. And so, there are trade-offs. And I asked myself if I'm cut out for the entrepreneurial life, if I'm cut out to be an independent contractor, if I'm cut out to be feast or famine, if I'm cut out for it. And quite honestly, the answer is, you don't have a choice. Your body is telling you, and I'm looking over my bed, because I keep a painting of Audrey Hepburn, but I wrote words from Audre Lorde on them. And it says, if I didn't define myself for myself, I will be crushed into other people's fantasies of me and eaten alive. And that's how I always felt in higher education. I felt like I was just being pushed and molded into something smaller and something that just wasn't me, and I felt like it was clipping my wings, and I felt like it was stifling my voice. I felt like I felt suffocated. And I think about what's stopping me from just connecting. I've had my healing services on my website now for a couple of days, and have I published them? Like, have I told people about them? Because I'm so afraid that, what if I'm not as good as I think I am? What if nobody books a service and I can't survive? What if I just want to believe that I'm supposed to be a healer and I really need to get my ass up and go to work every day at some job, and I'm not supposed to feel the happiness that I think I'm supposed to feel, and maybe that euphoric nirvana of just feeling like you're in your purpose every day is too idealistic. I don't know. But I just, in my heart of hearts, I feel like all of the things that I dream are possible, and all of the things that I dream are meant for me. I feel that in my spirit. I know it to be true. And so when I think about creating a resume, and I think about selling myself to people, for some people, it doesn't feel that way. For me, it kills me. It kills me every time. Every time. And so it's like every time I've done this, it's been a fear-based decision. And I'm so tired of fear. Liz Gilbert, in her book, Big Magic, which is so funny because I have it on audiobook, I have it in hard copy. I went to a signing. Well, she came to USD, and I went. She wasn't doing signings because she was protecting her emotional energy, and I loved that she did that. And I also was really sad because this was the second time I was in proximity to her and I couldn't connect with her, and I just wanted her to know how much everything that she's done has meant to me as a writer, as a person, as a woman, as a non-straight woman, who was caring for someone who could not care for themselves. I just connect with her so deeply. And I forgot what I was going to say about Big Magic. Oh, Big Magic. She says, fear is just, after a while, it's just boring. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck in a story and in a cycle of monotony and of predictability and of comfort. But this life is not meant to be comfortable. It's not. We're meant to feel uncomfortable. That's what grows us. We're meant to experience heartbreak. We're meant to feel overwhelmed. We're meant to get slapped in the face and knocked on our asses and get up and get on with it and be better than ever. Because the things that we go through are the things that we grow through. When you get through something, like for me, the last half of earning my PhD, the actual dissertation part, was absolute hell. And it was not because the book was so hard to write. It was because my life was falling the fuck apart. I had a student who was accusing me of discrimination. So I was under investigation from the school. I was being accosted by this person. I was, I saw him around town and he would say inappropriate things to me as a professor. So I was being accosted by a student. I had been sexually assaulted. I was on 6 or 7 different medications, and I was telling my psychiatrist, "Get me to the finish line. I don't care about what it does to my body right now. It's temporary. I have got to get out of this program because I need my life. I need to get on with it." And I felt like that it was holding me hostage. I was bound to USD. I was bound to the work. I was just bound. And so it started to feel like a vice grip. I needed out. And, it was great because it pushed me to really finish my work and to dive deep. And I think I did a good job with my dissertation, although, it's a draft. But then I look at what I was able to do and I look at how I was able to do it and I'm like, you are a boss ass bitch. You were able to conduct research independently, innovatively. You were able to bring women together. You were able to change 7 lives and help empower women and who even knows what the ripple effect of that is yet, but I see what it meant to my participants to be in that room, and I know what it meant for me to be in that room, and I look at the things that I was able to contribute. I look at the lives I was able to touch in the students that I taught, in the students that I mentored, and the students that I befriended. I know I changed so many people's lives, and no one can take that away from me. And so I have to be like, no, there's no fear. There's no afraid to press play, to press record on a video and to upload it and to put yourself out there and to cry. Why? Why is there fear in showing who I am and what I'm going through and sharing my story? My story is bomb. My story is beautiful. My story is one of resilience and fortitude and overcoming and constantly pushing myself to be vulnerable and constantly meeting my challenge and saying, you know what, you did that. And nobody else could have done it like you. Nobody else would have even thought about it, And saying to myself, no, you are going to earn enough money to pay your rent. You are going to earn enough money to pay your bills. You're going to have more than enough. You're going to be abundantly blessed because you are a blessing of abundance. I'm grace. I am. I know it. I feel it. I feel it. And I know that it's not me. I know that I am just a vessel. I know that I've learned how to hollow myself out so that divinity runs through me. I have learned how to tame my ego and get out of my own way. All the shame, all the fear, all the what are people going to think about me, that is ego. Ego is a constant hustler. Ego needs to know and feel worthy. Ego needs to be gassed up. Spirit knows. And so when I sit back and I breathe and I remember who I am, the game changes. So, plug. I am helping people heal. I am offering coaching services. I am offering energy work. I am offering any kind of help that people want from me. I am offering facilitation. I am offering workshops. I will come and I will talk to future counselors, future therapists, future higher education professionals, future social workers, future educators, future business people. Business has got to become and got to embrace corporate social responsibility. The millennials will not let you neglect social responsibility. You can see in our world, we are looking for our leaders to be ethically, morally, spiritually sound. We want more. We're demanding more. And I want to help people meet that moment because I can see where we are headed as a people. It's beautiful. We are waking up. We're so agitated right now, and we're waking up, and I just want to help people through that birth process, you know? Call me Morpheus. But I really do. I just really want to help people be a shepherd into your very best self. And so I do plug myself. I do say check out my website. I do say read my blogs, you know. The thing that distinguishes me from other coaches or other healers or other energy workers is that I put myself out there. You can see my journey. Since 2008, I have been putting myself out there as much as I possibly could. I have written about miscarriages, my sexual assault, racism, sexism, heartbreak, love, friendship, finances, my credit going from 780 to my credit's probably at 500 now. If anybody wants to help me with my credit, I would openly take it. You know, I'm so beyond the shame of where I am. I might not be happy with where I am, but I am not ashamed of being of having 80 cents in my checking account, which is true right now. I've got 80 cents and no food in the refrigerator. But I know that if I need something, I can ask. And I know that when it's time to earn, I'm ready to work. And that work that I'm able to do, I can only do because I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to live a love-based life and rather than a fear-based life. And there's been a lot of, it's been trial by fire, but I would not take anything from my journey. And I am just ready to help other people do the same. So, that's my little story about love-based living rather than fear-based living. It's my motto. It's my mantra. It's my guiding light right now because my heart just tells me that that's what's needed in the world. Love. Everything is love. Everything from love. When you put it out, you can't help but get it back. So that's what I want to do. I just want to love more. Tell me what you guys think. Love, love, love to hear your responses and your comments to this video.